If you follow my channel, you know that my name's Cindy Eiler, but I don't know if you know that I am the founder of Light Activation Healing. And I've decided it's time for me to start talking about what an amazing healing modality it is, because it's something that changes anyone's life, whether they come to me for sessions or they come to me to learn how to do it as a practitioner. Because once you get exposed to it, it's something that you start using in your everyday life. So I just like to say, light activation takes the guesswork out of your problems, concerns, and questions and puts the yes work into your actions, solutions, and results. And we work with all kinds of things with light activation healing, whether it's relationships or really deep hurts, traumas, any kind of unbearable situations. If you're not able to feel like you can have a lot of success or happiness in your life, anything that's hindering you, sometimes people come to me because they feel like even spirits are bothering them, or alien implants, or anything. It can be anything, but it can also work with if you're just wanting to enhance your life, to expand yourself, to make your life even better than you could imagine, actually. The thing with light activation healing is that we look at everything. So there may be things in your energy field, in your DNA, in your cellular memory, in a past life, anywhere. It can be energetic or physical, mental, spiritual, and it could be getting in your way. And sometimes you don't even know these things are there. And those are the ones that really, are the clenchers. Those are the ones that really end up being the ones that hold you back from really attaining what you really want in your life or how you want to feel in your life, because how do you fix things that you don't know are even there? So anyway, light activation is just like a big, huge piece of my life. I channeled it many years ago, and it's been an incredible journey, actually. A beautiful journey, an incredible journey. I have had countless clients over the years that totally believe in it. And yeah, it can really change your situation, whatever it is. And that the other thing is that you don't even have to really have an issue for it to help you. It's going to help anyone, whether you feel like you have an issue or not. So I help business people. I help regular, everyday, mothers, and not that a mother's an everyday regular person, but you know what I mean. Just anybody, whether it's a stay-at-home mom or somebody that goes to work, or a businessman or a child. I have a lot of children clients, so just a lot of different things can come my way that I deal with. It's just endless. So you can find out more about light activation by going to my website at cindyeiler.com and look for the services tab and look for light activation healing system, and you'll see some information there. Yes, I even have worked with mental illness and many things like that. So anyway, the list goes on and on and on. Today, actually, what I was feeling guided to talk about, which is a little bit out there, but it's just something that's really been coming to the forefront of my mind today, is alien implants and how to detect them, how to know if you have one, and how to remove them. So, my vision is that I'm going to start doing a lot more light activation videos, and I'll just be talking about different subjects randomly. And so today it's alien implants. So the first time I saw an alien implant or dealt with an alien implant consciously was when I was at this big conference. And I had a friend there, and she was telling me that she had a headache and she couldn't get rid of this headache. So I just started working on her. So, yeah, I can just start working on people, and I don't have to be with you present. I can be with you present, but not most, all of my clients, I do distant healing. So I have clients all over the world that I've never met personally. So anyway, we were at this conference, and so I started working, and it was in the back of her neck area. So I was starting to work, and I, was clairvoyantly looking, and I saw inside of her, like right at the base of her head, a little, well, it wasn't that little. It was like, I don't know, like a matchbox size, but thicker, metal looking implant. So it looked physical to me because that's how I could see it, but it was actually etheric. But who knows? You never know, really, because this is a magnificent universe, and you just never. I don't know. I won't go into that whole thing because that's a whole other story. So I'll just say that I saw this little. It looked like a little metal box, and it was connected to the base of her head. And so I was like, oh, what's that? So I started taking it and working it out. And I pulled it out, and I told her, you had a little box, like implant thing in there. And her headache was gone instantly, just like that. So this thing, who knows how long, was there, because things can be there and you don't realize it. And then over time, they can start depleting you, or they might just be making you miserable for a long time and you just never even know that that's what it is. So anyway, that was my first experience with actually finding one. And I wasn't, looking for it, because that wasn't something that I ever really dealt with in the past. I mean, I've had a lot of things that I've dealt with, like, seeing spirits in people's bodies, or doing a healing on someone and a spirit popping out of their body. And so, I've seen a lot of things. So that was my first experience with that. So since then, I mean, that was so many years ago. I don't even know, 20 years, I don't know. So since then, of course, I've run into other things. So that just, it's just part of your journey, that you start getting introduced to different things. So that is one way that you can have implants. You can have these objects lodged in your body anywhere. And why are they there? They can be there for many different reasons. They can be there to gather information. That's usually the reason. Usually, in most cases, aliens aren't going to put an implant in you unless there's a purpose. Well, let me back up on this a little bit, because, I'm talking about aliens, and to me, it's an everyday thing, so I don't really trip off of it. But you might be listening to this and be like, whoa, what? She's talking about aliens. I want to talk a little bit about how I feel about aliens, and what aliens are to me, and how I work with them, and the ones that I work with. So first of all, let me start by saying alien. A lot of people don't like to use that word. I teach my light activation classes, and sometimes people are like, oh, I don't like to hear that word alien. And, like it has a negative connotation to it. Like some people call them star beings. So, and then I'll just say, well, that's too bad, because I call them aliens. And there's nothing wrong with aliens. I only work with aliens that are beings of light. Unless somebody comes to me for a healing and has an issue and I've got to remove something, it just depends on what people come to me with that I have to work on. But the ones I work with are beings of light. Now, I want you to realize that everyone is an alien to somebody. So humans are aliens to aliens. Or let's just put it this way. We are not the only living things in the universe. There's lots of living beings in the universe. And you know, maybe there's other physical living beings on some other planet. You never know. But there's definitely a lot of energetic beings all over the place. You know, I'm a clairvoyant. I see a lot of them. I see dead people. I see angels. I see ascended masters. So ascended masters would be people like, you know, that walked the earth, that made a really big positive impact, like Jesus and Mary and Saint Germain and Katumi. I mean, there's just a lot of ascended masters. So I see those. I see spirit guides. I see negative beings. I see entities. I have a video on my YouTube called, I don't know the exact name. It's like, if you go to my YouTube channel, Cindy Eiler, um, which is CindyEyler, you can find my entity video, how to detect, how to identify entities and how to remove them. So I see those. I see anything that needs to be presented to me. So I work with only aliens that are beings of light. And one time I was doing a conference talk at a Deepak Chopra conference, and somebody asked me why aliens are here. And that's like a really huge question. And I can only say that I know why they're here with me. They might be with other people for other reasons. But for me, it was to, you know, share about light activation and how it can, you know, heal people and heal places and heal situations, heal the universe. And so how to better the universe and help so many people. And the ones that work with me are all about ascension, which means your spiritual journey, whether you know you're on one or not, you're on one. You're always changing, you're always growing, you're always evolving. So you can either do that consciously or unconsciously. Consciously is always, to me, the better way, but you know, that's everybody's choice. So they are helping to help us get to a better place in our lives, to reach our higher potential, to live the best lives we can live. Because the more that we can do that, the more the rest of the planet, the rest of the universe, including everything in the universe, can ascend, can grow, can evolve. So you always want to help people be their best, because that's always going to benefit everyone. So let's just start with that. And when I channeled light activation healing, I was already doing lots of healings and readings for people, and you know, was doing spiritual teaching, psychic development, and all kinds of stuff like that. But I really wanted to learn a healing modality that was going to be the most powerful, amazing thing ever. And I was just in search for this modality wherever it was. And everything that I was looking at was nothing, you know, any better than what I was already doing. And so I was just like in this search. And finally, I heard through a message, you're going to channel the modality. And I was just like, oh crap, like I didn't want to do that. I was perfectly happy just learning something from somebody else. I didn't want to get into all of that. And at the time, I wasn't really working with star beings or aliens, but I had been reading a lot and feeling a connection with them that I was curious about. And I became very curious about it just because there's just so much information and so many things that happen with that realm. And so all of a sudden, here I am, right? So I remember that I would get woken up at night and I'd be just feeling like I needed to channel something, like type something out on my laptop. And I'd be late, you know, usually 1 a.m. to like 4 a.m. And I have my laptop on my lap in bed, and I'd be like channeling messages from the ascended masters and getting, you know, these enlightened messages from angels and higher light beings. And so one night I was doing that with Saint Germain. And if you don't know who that is, you can look him up on the internet. He's amazing. And he was like channeling some information to me. And so I was typing along, and all of a sudden I heard, all of a sudden the energy changed, and I'm really in tune with energy. I can really, I decipher energy really well. It's like one of my gifts, and that's one thing that I love to teach other people. So I could feel the energy shifted, and then I could tell by what the words that were coming out were not Saint Germain anymore. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This isn't Saint Germain. Who is this? And then I found out it was the Syrians, who are a alien consciousness, a star consciousness. You probably heard of Sirius. And they were there to start having me channel this healing modality. And I knew that I was going to be channeling it from star consciousness, which means a collective consciousness of different star consciousness. So it's the Syrians, the Pleiadians, just all kinds of different star consciousness that are involved in this amazing healing wisdom and knowledge. And so I was like, okay, so I just went with it. And I just was channeling every night, just this amazing information. And so then all of a sudden I just like had a stack of channeling, and they're like, okay, go teach it. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, go teach it. And it just has been amazing ever since. Totally amazing. When I teach my classes, I see them file in, and they're very specific, and they're very, they watch me as much as they watch the students to make sure everybody's learning it, and very specific, and really being very in integrity with it, and being very high level with it. And like I said, it carries a very high integrity. Of course, I always believe the highest healing is channeled in from the divine, from source, from God, creator, the divine, whoever you consider to be the highest power, that's who I'm connected to. But I also believe in working with lots of wonderful light beings that can help. And these aliens that I connect with are so amazing. They teach me so much about the human body, about DNA, about how people, get sick, or why people get sick, or where this comes from, or just so many things. And so it's just been an amazing experience. Okay, so let's just put, I can go on and on about light activation healing, and there's some videos on YouTube on my channel, or on my website. They're even on there. There's 2 pages for light activation on my website. So yeah, you want to go to both, because the other page, the second page, has a lot more videos. Anyway, so I want to get back to these implants. So back during that time when I think I'd already channeled the light activation and stuff like that. And the guy that I, was with for many years back then, this is another situation that was really weird that happened. So one day we're in the bedroom, and he goes, can you, check my head? There's like a hole in my head. And every day, like, I feel like there's a hole, and then something grows over it, and and then I pull it out, and there's like a hole there, and it just keeps happening. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? So of course I don't really like dig. He's like, can you peel this? He asked me if I could peel a scab off his head. That's what he was asking. I was like, ew, no, I don't. That's just gross. I don't like to do those kind of things, right? And so I said, so I looked at his head, and there was this thing on it, and right in the middle and the top. And I was like, wow, that's weird. What is that? Because it didn't look like a regular scab. So somehow I pulled it off, and it looked like a little plug. Like, yeah, it was made of some kind of human tissue, but it was like a plug. So it wasn't just like a scabbing over a hole. It was actually like a plug that plugged into this like cylinder thing that looked like it had been getting drilled. Like he had been getting drilled in the head, okay? And I said, oh my God, it looks like something's been drilling in your head. how long has this been going on? And he goes, I don't know, like a month. And I said, something's been drilling in your head for a month and you haven't even bothered to mention it to me, and I'm like sleeping next to you every night? Like, that is freaky, dude. You gotta, like, why didn't you tell me? So now I'm looking at it, and what would just really amaze me was how that thing would look like a plug, and like it took a bit to pull it out, but once you pulled it out, you could see, like, as if it was like the size of a really thin, not a really thin nail, like not a huge nail, but a medium nail. Like, it was sufficient. I don't know if sufficient's the word, but yeah, it was definitely there. I don't know. Was it like a skinny? It wasn't like a real skinny nail, but it wasn't a fat nail. Maybe a little bit under a medium nail. I wish I had a nail to show you. But anyway, I was just really shocked by it. And so, yeah, so it continued to happen every night. That thing would grow over it. And then I told him, listen, that on some level, at some part of your life, you agreed, or before you came into this lifetime, I don't know when, but at some point in your spirit's evolution, because we never die, right? I mean, if you don't know that, I'm telling you, we never die. Our bodies might die, but our spirits never die. And so we're always evolving. We're always, learning more. We're always, either we're in the spirit world doing our stuff there, or we're incarnating and doing it here. So we're always learning something. So at some point, he gave permission for these aliens to be drilling in his head. And I suppose they were getting some sort of either information or bodily fluids for whatever, because it's all information for them. So I said, you must have given them permission at some point. Otherwise, they wouldn't do this. They couldn't do this. And that's true. I just have to, tell you that if you're ever affected by anything, at some point you've given permission for that to happen, because we all have free will, and we can't, and even, God, creator, they cannot intervene on our free will. So we always have to give permission in some way. So he got really angry and he said, well, let me just say right now, you no longer have permission. You cannot do this anymore. You're not allowed to do this. Your permission, you no longer have permission. Like, he was really irritated. I'll just never forget that. And I was like, okay, good. You have to say it and you have to mean it, because, I've had other people who have, like, even kids that get tormented by aliens. I'll tell the kid, like, you have to, they'll be really scared, and I'll be like, you have to tell them to leave you alone. And they'll say, like, I did, but they're still here. And I said, well, then you're still talking to them. You can't pay mind to them. If you tell them that they have to leave you alone, and they try to come back and, talk to you or bother you or whatever, you can't engage in it and then think they're going to go away, because then you're not being serious, right? You've got to, be really serious. So anyway, he told them, commanded them that they couldn't do it anymore, and they stopped. Actually, that's all it took. They stopped. So, that was just a kind of a weird situation that, I dealt with personally. So, yeah, so when I do sessions on people every so often, yeah, I do find those implants, and sometimes they're in there and they're done, like they're not even collecting data anymore. They've moved on. And so the thing is still there. So that's not good either, because that's just like a block in your energy. And then sometimes, yeah, they're there just actively getting information, whether it's plugged into one of your organs or into your bloodstream or into your back or your reproductive organs or anywhere. And so how do you know if you have one? Well, I mean, you have to be able to, if you have some intuitive abilities, you could probably tap in and see that. Otherwise, it could be that you have pain somewhere, and, that could be it. But see, the thing is, like, I can give you these symptoms, but that could mean a lot of different things. So, you just really have to know what you're doing. But I'll just tell you, you could have pain somewhere that somebody can't figure out why you're having that pain, a dog, a good hint that something's going on with you that is either outer worldly or something that's emotional or mental that is causing you to manifest a physical sensation that feels uncomfortable, is when a doctor cannot identify what's wrong with you. Like if a doctor, you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, I can't find anything. Well, they might not be a good doctor, but many times when that happens, it is kind of a hint that, hey, you could have an entity, you could have an emotional issue that triggered a physical issue, you could have a trauma that did it, you could have an implant. It can be so many things. That's why I always tell people that whether they're healthy or they're not healthy, getting a healing session like on, like a regular basis, at least once every other month, or at least a couple times a year at the very least. It's like, it's very imperative to your health. We are energetic beings before we are even physical beings, because our energetic self never dies, right? So you got to take care of your energy. And people, they go to the dentist, they go to the doctor, they go, chiropractor, they do all these physical sort of things, but they many times don't remember that they have to be working on their energy too, because if your energy gets bogged down, if you start having blocks or you have things lodged in your energy, or like I said, traumas or things that came up through your DNA, which comes through your family line, if you don't, move those things that get in the way, that surface, then what will happen eventually is it will manifest as a physical illness or discomfort or disease. So you always have to catch these things before it turns into a physical thing, to stay your healthiest. And so there's times that, I start feeling something physically not feeling good, whether it's a headache, whether it's a knee ache, whatever it is. And the first thing I do is go, okay, I need to reset myself, because there's something that's been going on that's triggering this. A physical issue just doesn't come out of the blue. Once you start having a physical discomfort, it's because you have let some emotional, mental, spiritual, anything like that that's not physical go on too long, and then it starts affecting your physical body. So once it starts affecting your physical body, actually, that's when things are getting a little serious. Because then what happens? You have a physical issue and then you start going to the doctor, right? Or hopefully you don't need to, but if you do, and then it can just keep transpiring from there. And, like prescription drugs, I don't think they ever cure you. I mean, sometimes, if you have like antibiotics and you have an infection or something, like, okay, but a lot of these prescription drugs that people end up taking, they're things that they'll take for the rest of their lives, or they'll add on to them or whatever. So you're just masking the pain or masking whatever the issue is, just to, feel decent enough to continue on living. But if you can say, hey, something's out of whack with my body and I want to get this, knocked out real quick, you want to go get a healing or something to work on that. So that's what I do. When I feel something, I start working on myself and going, okay, what's been stressing me out lately? What's bothering me? What's going on here? And I start working on it energetically to start releasing it. And then, then I don't have the physical issue anymore. So I'm really in tune with my body, and I just know when something feels off, and I will work on that. So anyway, these alien implants can definitely suck your energy dry. They can deplete you. They can give you pain. They can create a lot of suffering because they are alien implants. So now when I'm referring it to this kind of alien implant, what I mean is it's alien. It's an alien object, or it's an alien material to your body. It's not part of your physical body. So it is alien to you, to your body, to your physical body. So of course, that's going to affect your health. Of course, it's going to affect your energy. you have energy flows that go up and down your bodies, these meridians that carry your energy, and they're meant to flow your energy up and down very smoothly. And if you have objects or energies in there that are blocking the flow of your movement, it'll start depleting whatever organ is next to it, or it'll start depleting your clarity. It could make you angry. It could make you act unreasonable and miserable. It could make you feel depressed. It could make you feel sad. It could make you recluse. It can make you do a lot of things. So you've always got to clean your energy out. So anyway, I just wanted to talk today a little bit about alien implants, what they are, how you might know that you might have one, and that you can get rid of them if you can detect it. And just share a little bit more about light activation healing, because it's like totally amazing. And of course, we work on a lot more than alien implants. We work on all kinds of life issues, whether you're perfectly happy and just want to, you know, be excited for a more expansive life, or you're having some sort of issue, whether it's you're having a hard time making money, get a job, keep a relationship, or just actually being happy. Because you know what? Our job here is to be enjoying this life, not taking it so darn seriously. Because in the grand scheme of things, this is only one lifetime, a drop in the bucket for your soul's evolution. Your soul is infinite. It never was born. It never will die. It just is. And so this lifetime is just a drop in the bucket in the grand scheme of things. So I always say you're here to enjoy life. And if you're not enjoying life every day, your job should be waking up every day and being excited to enjoy your life. And if you're not doing that, then that's a little bit of a clue and hint that you probably could use some help. And for me, that's light activation. But yeah, you're not here just to be a worker bee, and you're not here to suffer and be sad like that. What's the point? Really, what is the point of being here and living if you're not going to live and be happy and enjoy your life and create it the way you want? That's it. Anyway, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Check out my other videos. Subscribe to my channel. Check me out on Facebook. Check out my website, cindyiler.com. I'll put the link in this description below. And if you're not new to my channel, you know how to hook up to me. Hook up with me. Anyway, thank you for joining me today, and be expecting a lot more little videos about light activation, because it's time that I start talking about this amazing modality. I don't know why I haven't been, but yeah, it's time. All right, thanks for being here, and have a very enjoyable life.